That's all I got. Hopefully there's some questions, or we can start talking about the recruiting class. We just got wrapped up. Yes, sir.
Do you as a company do any selective breeding for narrow row planting?
Oh, good question. So the question is, do we do any breeding, selective breeding for narrow row planting? The answer is yes. And it's a sliding scale, because the danger there is, okay, what's the market going to be? Right? And so I assume you're talking like 15-inch rows versus 30-inch rows, that type of narrow. Yeah, we've done some of that before, and it varies by region, you know, how successful narrow rows are. Do you breed for different products? Yeah, in a way. I mean, there's some differentiation, but we breed, the best way I can answer this, we breed for what we think the market's going to be in 10 years. So short answer, yes. Yes, sir.
Yeah. How do you work in tandem with the team at Johnston and in Indianapolis as far as like a lab basis? Do you do everything in your field basis, or is there any lab stuff that you collaborate with?
Yeah, so the question is, how do we work in conjunction with our team in Johnston or Indianapolis? And really the way it's structured, so I'm based out of York, you know, that's a research center, no difference than Manhattan. We have different crops, we do different things, but really the research centers that I call in the field, you know, the Garden City, Missouri, York, Nebraska, Manhattan, those are there to test in the field in the local conditions. That's what we do. We call it phenotyping. We're there to phenotype. The lab work is done exclusively almost for plant breeding, at least for corn in Johnston. We have, Puerto Rico, we have other labs. Majority of it happens in Johnston. That's where it's centralized. So I talked earlier about some of those centralized activities. That's where we decided, you know, we're going to do it really intensely in one spot. We can spend more money on more equipment because we can get a higher throughput by doing it that way. A little bit in Indy, most of it's happening in Johnston. But all the field testing is really, it's out in the field for sure. Yes?
So you said earlier in your speech there about you sometimes will see grade 8 from you as a visual, it'll be as a 4. And you said the computer model will show it as a 7. So then you go off of what the computer model says it is, or how hard is it to leave your 4 that you visually see?
Yeah, good question. So we're going back to that example I used earlier. Like I'm in front of a plot in one field and I see it as a 4 and the models are telling me it's a 7. What do? Do you advance the product? And so in general, like usually when that happens, it's very early stage testing. So we don't have a lot of prior history, right? Like this is the first time I've seen this hybrid. Okay. Typically in a situation like that, we're going to trust the model. We'll move it to the next stage. But trust me, there's always a little asterisk by there saying, hey, it wasn't good here. Sometimes, you know, if it's a new genetic event, you know, it might say we have to retrain the model in some cases. Majority of the time, it's something weird was happening in that plot. You know, with a little micro environment or something was weird. So we see it both cases where maybe I was right, the model's right. Majority of the time the model's right. It's a micro environment type situation. But we carry both of that information forward though. It's always kind of in the back of our mind. And honestly, when we get to the last stages, it's like in impact testing. Like I'll be honest, for me walking impact plots, it's kind of boring. Like I don't see much. At that point, we kind of got to sit there. We're really just looking to say, hey, are these hybrids going to do something stupid? You know, and most times they don't. And after that, we're just saying, hey, let's just go pick the best one. So impact plots can get pretty boring for me because I've seen them for a while. And at that point, thrown away. Like for me, it's fun to look at weird stuff. All right. The weird stuff is gone. You're just looking at good hybrids and trying to pick which one's the best one to go sell.
One more quick thing.
Yep.
When corn actually hits our fields, how long has it been tested before it actually hits the field?
Yep, so the question is, when corn actually hits the field, hits a customer's field, how long has it actually been tested? In general, like, there's a little bit of variation depending on maturity zone, all this and that. Typically, you're going to look at about 6 years. We'll see it in the field in some way, shape, or form. Probably 7 years, some way, shape, or form. Okay. It varies a little bit, but in general, that's kind of of standard answer. So.
How long before 1197 takes the back seat to the new hybrid? For the number one in the world. Like they do.
Four, okay, so you're talking
so
four.
Yeah, so I'm surprised that he's still using that hybrid when he knows good and well you guys have probably better hybrids other than also better hybrids. So it kind of surprised.
Yes, that's a really good question. I think for me, it's fascinating because I think what's being, so the question is, how long or when will 1197 be unseated as the yield world record holder, right? And so the interesting thing to me is, I know for a fact, we have more hybrids in the pipeline that we're selling now with more genetic gain. But for that hybrid, for whatever reason, he's figured out the management, and it fits that environment, and he can optimize, to really come close to that ceiling. Like for other hybrids, there's have higher ceilings, but we haven't really figured out how to optimize that management environment to get him above where he really can go. So I mean, to me, it's really fascinating. I mean, eventually, yeah, we'll get there, but it's got to figure it out. I can't do it.
What is that ceiling?
What's this?
What is the ceiling?
What's the old ceiling, boy? This needs to be edited out.
I mean, are we looking at 1,000 bushels of that?
It could be. You know, I hear different theories all the time. You know, and I'll be honest. Like, I've been in this 15 years. I didn't think I'd see 600 bushel corn. I saw it seen with my eyes, but I never thought I would hear reports of that for a while yet. You know, so that gets you thinking. You know, in the right environments, 800 bushel. I don't know. You know, you start thinking about, hey, what if we made, you know, what's the plant population? You know, I think this year was 54,000. You know, I mean, if we push that to 75,000, we'll probably get a lot more yield. So I don't know. It's a short answer.
So over a decade, we'll be raising 200 bushel corn average in the United States.
So decade 200 bushel corn in the United States. I don't think so, because I think as you go across, you know, more marginal acres, you still hit that bottom. You hit the floor. And we're going to raise the floor, but sometimes those floors on some of these acres are so low that 80 bushel, 85. That's a big percent jump, but in total bushels in the U.S., I don't know. Acres go way down. We consolidate on good acres, yeah, but.
I bet you will see it though in my lifetime.
Yep.
And for your wife, what do you compare the genetics to the management practices from the national corn? Are the genetics the biggest part of it, or the management practices are a lot there too?
Yep. Yeah. So I think so. The question is, in terms of genetic gain, what's responsible for that? Really, the genetics or is it the management? The cop-out answer is it's both. I think one thing we undersell for the genetic piece is that, we get a lot more bushels off of the same water and the same fertility now than we did even 5 years ago. It's shocking how much more efficient these plants are. That doesn't go so far. We've raised the ceiling, but I think the management has really helped bolster that floor. I think we're getting better at placing these hybrids. We're getting better at understanding what not to do, and what really was going to drive us to hit that floor of a hybrid. So it's both, but where we're really successful is when we can maximize both. It gets fun. Yep.
What do you think happened in 2015 and 16 in your one slide where you moved from being level to really vamped up? Is that just germplasm? What is that?
This is Brand Wardyn opinion here. I think there's a couple things that happened. One was, that was really the start of this corn revolution. Okay. The other thing, we changed structures in corn breeding about 7 years before that, 7, 8 years before that. And I think that change in structure really allowed us to utilize technology and really breed locally. When you can breed locally for local problems, that's the easiest way to raise the floor. Okay. So if you tell me I need to sell a hybrid from the Rocky Mountains to Pennsylvania, there's a lot of ways you're going to hit that floor. Okay. So you think about trying to raise all that up, that's hard. You can do it, but it's really slow. If you just say, no, we're going to breed locally, yeah. Let me worry about the things that are important, the things that aren't important, let me not worry about for a while. Thanks.